And we are back with another episode, Sam Larson Studio, and today we're going to be talking about the dragon, once again. But we need to go over something with the lighting. Alright, let's talk a little bit about lighting, we're going to talk a little bit about color, and we're going to talk a little bit about technique, okay? So right now, we see our beautiful dragon. It's looking exquisite. And we gotta identify where the light source is going to be coming from. I'm not great with light, still working at it. I'm still getting better with it. But for right now, we're going to draw an arrow that's pointing so we've got a good idea of where the light is coming from, okay? So we're assuming that the light is kind of hitting like that, give or take, okay? So anything that the arrow is like casting a shadow on, just remember there will be shadows cast. I don't know how to put that best into words, but you see like right here and going down, there's going to be the dragon's head blocking out the light. And this gives us a good idea of where the highlights are going to be, okay? So we're going to have highlights up here and on top of the nose, and we're going to have a couple coming off of the belly, and then a couple on the feet. And then probably a couple going on the tail. And that gives us a good idea of what our basic setup is going to be, okay? So I might end up having to go through this and skipping around a little bit just to make sure that you guys can see where things are happening without having to watch a 30-minute video, you know what I'm saying? I was distracted. I was trying to find what is the best way of doing color for this one. So first we're going to go in, and we're going to go in with a nice yellow. I'm planning on making my dragon orange, and when doing this we're going to use yellow, orange, dark brown, and a regular brown. And the regular brown is what we already used for the outline, and it's what we're using as a base tone, okay? So right here, we've got the light casting onto the horns. We know that the back of the horn is going to be a little bit darker here and here, so we're not going to put any light onto there. We're going to put a little bit of light on top of the snout, the gorgeous snout, and then we're going to put some nice highlights on the stomach, and we're going to do a round curve on them. And the reason for that is because we want to show, okay, these platelets on his stomach have a little bit of a curve to them, okay? On top of the feet, this is a very hard lesson to know how to simplify properly, but I'll do my best. And I'm just going to do a couple other little light marks on here. A little bit on the paw and a little bit on the arm, a little bit on this paw, because I don't think that this paw is underneath the face in 3D. And we're going to do some light on the tail. Rough that in there. Got it? And I'm going to add a couple little highlights because I think that those will be fun later on for making it so he feels a little bit shinier. I'm getting rid of some of my underlines because I don't need all of them at this point, okay? This is the time where you take a minute, get rid of some of those super defined lines that you don't actually want. They were just there as the base of the drawing to give you an idea of what you were doing with the drawing. Next, I'm going to go through, I'm going to use this nice orangey color throughout the dragon's body, but I'm going to do that off camera. And we are back. So now we've got a little bit of shadow going on with this. I'm going to go in, I'm going to darken all of the outlines on it, and then we're going to come right back. Alright? We're back again briefly. I just wanted to show you one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing my colors. I really like doing these circles. Alright? This circle kind of method is really nice for blending the colors, and it really depends on exactly where I am with the drawing, but like, I really like the way that the circle method makes everything to come together. It just gives a nice kind of texture to it. It helps things to just merge together a little bit better, you know? Alright, now we have a nice base coat going on. We've got a good idea of what the colors are going to be, and now we need to start doing some shadows. So let's go over where would the shadows be. We've got the light casting down. If you can pause, and if you're able to figure this out on your own, go for that. See how closely you line up to mine. You might be doing better than I am. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have it so there's a shadow cast under the neck, and there's going to be a little bit of a shadow behind him. I want a shadow cast underneath this hand and underneath this arm, and this is going to fall back to here. And then I'm going to probably have a good amount of shadow on the wings. I want to have some shadow underneath the jaw and at the upper lip, and then a nice amount of shadow being cast underneath the feet. And that should give us a general idea of where the shadow is going to be. I want a little bit of shadow underneath that paw too. Look at this. We're mostly there. Did I forget a little bit of color in this paw? Absolutely. That's the wrong color. Hang on. Let's use the correct color. Perfect. Alright, so we've got a nice base color going on. Now you see how we've got like a nice light going on, and we've got the nice tones happening, and we've got the palettes kind of unified by having a nice undertone for it. That's going to help us in our next phase. Alright, so I'm going to show you a little bit of this as we go. I've got this nice orange color that I'm going to use, and that should unify everything. Alright, so I'm going to cut away from this. At this point, basically, you go in, and you give it a little bit more toning as you go. Keep doing that little circles. Using the little circles really blends it nicely, so then when we bring it outside, just a little bit into the orange, then we can blend it a little bit better. And I'll probably end up using a regular brown color instead of the dark brown as another way of playing with the tones and having a nice in-between. I'm going to add a little bit more tone here, and then probably what I'm going to do is go in with just a little bit of black on some of this to try to increase some contrast, because there are a couple spots where I want better contrast. Got it? You got it? And then right here, you gotta darken it up. Any spots where you're like, ooh, this is the spot the light is farthest from it, you darken that up. That's gonna help unify this thing. So I'm gonna make a few more changes, and I will bring you right back. You ready? You can see I'm adding a brown overtone to everything, and I've already said this a few times, the main reason for it is I really just want to unify this color palette, and just using a nice light brown to it can do something like that. Or if you use a red for the undertones, that can be really nice. It's just really fun seeing what happens with that kind of thing, and orange can be awesome for it. I've used blue for it. And it's just fun to experiment, see what happens when you try out other colors. But if you look, this is starting to put the colors together, and it's starting to be a nice midpoint between the browns and the oranges and the yellows. Now the last little bit of this, I'm going to add some black to a couple spots to it. And then I really wanted to make it so the eyes were a little bit darker. Sure, she can have eyelashes. Why not? Started out unintentional, but now I think it's kind of cute. We're going to add a little bit of brown to the teeth, and we're going to add a little bit of brown to the horn, and then we're going to call it good for right now. I think it's so fun. I really enjoy coloring and just kind of seeing what happens. You're able to do this with whatever kind of colors you're using, alright? So if you're using paints, go for it. Try laying down a base color for it. Try laying down some highlight colors for it, and then try using browns to darken it, because if you use white and if you use black and if you use gray, then those colors can end up muddying and getting rid of some of your tones going on, and you don't necessarily want that. I lost one of the colors I was going to use. It needs more darkness right here. Anyways, I found it. We're good. Perfect. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.